It's incredible how powerful some forces can be. We often neglect that ideas and principles, in and of themselves, have power. The mages more than anyone have proved that concepts can have such a sway in our world, and the understanding of those concepts gives you a power over them. With that being said, some of us immortal beings have studied them. After all, we are timeless beings with all the time you could imagine. Why not study it? Time itself, I mean. To have control over such a concept is mightier than anything else you can think of. If the group I wish to speak of tonight was as successful in this as they wish they were, surely we would all bow to them. Fortunately for us all, this group are not. But since they are still anciently powerful kindred, do not mistake their lack of world-domineering power for weakness, for they are no such thing. See, tonight, I wish to speak of the oldest of one of the major clans, the ones that refuse to change with the times, and refuse to change with their clan proper. The true Brujah. See, the true Brujah haven't changed much at all, unlike the majority of their clan. They still appear noble and scholarly, and indeed, they still act this way. In fact, were it not for the Victorian period, they would probably still dress in old Greek scholarly robes. Now, half of them just wear suits and fedoras, while demanding that you should debate them on the nature of religion. An image that has been somewhat changed in recent years, or so I've heard. But in all seriousness, they do spend a lot of time reading and studying old dusty tomes to try to focus in on information and knowledge. Unlike, say, the Tremere or other learned bloodlines, the true Brujah care little for magic. They care more for the thoughts of history and philosophy, thinking that if one were to fully understand ideas and philosophies, people who followed those same ideas could be predicted. And they have proven that there is many truths in this. Because of this mindset, they seem somewhat detached from the people around them. They are often secluded, but also emotionless. A true Brujah will have the same blank expression to learn that a loved one has died, that they will learning that a flight has been delayed. Truly, they seem to lack any emotion at all, some theorizing this is a defense mechanism to cope with the actions that they have taken. I think this is linked to their unique powers. That is something I will get into more detail on later. I should also get into their hatred for the clan proper, and the reasons for this. For yes, they do hate the regular Brujah, or the upstarts as they often want to call them. But this is all due to ancient history. Literally. See, if you recall the legend of the Brujah antediluvian, you will remember that they were devoured and diablerized by their first childer Trolley, who took their title and ruled in their stead. However, according to some legends, the original antediluvian, by the name of Ilias, also sired a few others, and those others sired a few more before they were wiped out by Trolley and their brood. The true Brujah believe they are descendants of this secret bloodline, not Trolley the Diablerist. Because of this, they think they are the true proper clan. Which is funny, because they are outnumbered almost, I want to say 100 to 1, and that's me being generous. The problem with this tale is its massive hole. Not a single name or any form of proof is given that the original antediluvian ever sired another. However, I would not disregard this tale for this reason, as we have lost more knowledge than we have now. As any true Brujah will tell you, there is always merit in trying to see the other's point of view. That's just a statement of fact. Off the bat, they started their endless war with the clan proper from the shadows, but since this war is mostly unrecorded, save for a few of the oldest of their number, it's hard to pinpoint events they did and did not partake in. What I can say is they were often on the other side of conflicts that the clan proper did partake in, bar one major exception. See, while they hated the old city of Carthage and despised almost everything the main clan was doing, They were still outraged massively when they lost their war, and sought to take revenge for this, as well as for everything really. So they aligned themselves with the followers of Set, and supposedly started to manipulate the true Black Hand. However, they failed to bring down Rome, and due to them losing their feud of their own volition, they also lost their connection with these factions, and just abandoned them as soon as they made them. In truth, you'll notice that a lot about the true Brujah. Connections as they make, they just abandon them soon after. They form these pacts, but make no real impact. In truth, that's the sad nature of their existence. They never make any real impact on those around them. These connections did teach them a useful skill, however, their skill in spycraft. But not the making of spy networks, no. Far too many are skilled in this already, which makes their specialization actually quite useful, for they are skilled in finding and destroying these spy networks. How they actually go about doing this is a trade secret, but I'm sure it's simply linked to their scholarly pursuits. I should also note they are one of the few groups and bloodlines that actually directly link themselves to the Jihad, the eternal struggle between the young and old kindred. The thing that sets them apart is, well, they're really the only group that openly sides with the old and powerful, whereas every other group that cares about this sort of thing hates the old publicly. But despite all of this, they spend most of their history in seclusion, which is surprising given the vast amount of connections they have to, well, everything. They have stuck to the shadows, and this was partly due to necessity, being hunted and all that, but also via their own want. They wish to remain hidden. I know that their plans revolve around them hiding for so long so that they can master their powers and use them instantly to subvert everything, to rule within a second. But now for you to understand how they are to do this, I think it is time for me to finally talk about their unique powers. For a special form of celerity that they have devised. Celerity not like the normal personal effects, one that instead uses aura effects. Now one might think, how could the power of speed have an aura effect? Well, I remind you of my speech I had before, the one about time. For yes, alongside disciplines of potence and presence, both of which they use the same ways as the normal clan, they also have the power dubbed Temporis. This does indeed have a limited power over time, and I do mean limited, for they can't actually do that much with it compared to, say, a mage with similar powers, but what they can do is still impressive. For a start, the weaker ones have perfect internal clocks, and the ability to sense any foreign change in time. They can even force mortals to repeat set actions over and over again, as if stuck in a moment. The more powerful ones can even force a target to slow down, or curse someone with the perception at half speed for all eternity. They can even stop time for a moment, although they can't do much with this other than run away. They can, however, freeze objects in time with this, and even speed themselves up in order to act about 3 times as fast as anyone else. When you get into the really powerful ones, though, it becomes harder to quantify. Supposedly, the oldest and most skilled have managed to review events exactly as they went down, or even have conversations with long-dead figures of the past, although sadly that figure will not remember it. There is also a myriad of things that they can do that you can't really understand unless you have some limited control over it yourself, so I'm actually not going to bother going into detail. What I will end with is the fact that supposedly their most skilled member in this has been able to go back in time a whole 2 hours. And before you ask, no, I have no idea what would happen if you, say, encounter yourself or something like that, and in truth, I don't really care. From what I can gather, they aren't able to change anything grand as of yet. The problem is the yet part. See, this has been their goal for a while now, and if I had to guess on the specifics of their grand ambition, I think they want to go back in time and undo Trolley's diablerie, and save the original antediluvian. Something I think is actually impossible, but they're going to keep trying, so I commend their dedication. After all, it did take them 3,000 years to go back 2 hours in time, so their progress has been incredible so far, I have to say. I jest, of course. but their powers are actually quite terrifying. And that is why I try to keep one around. See, for my tale of a true Brujah, I wish to speak of one I defeated not too long ago. One who still used the Talmei Ra, or the Black Hand. Of course, this group is something I will go into greater discussion in one day, but today is not that day, no. And in all fairness, they are of little relevance here, for they were being used as puppets again still. See, this Brujah by the name of Animalexia was obsessed with a relic in my possession, and sought it out. She was willing to go by any means in order to get it, and I was of course prepared for such tactics. The assassins she sent were nothing. Their blades didn't even scratch my skin. Her task force were nothing compared to mine as well. If anything, they made mine look even more perfect by comparison. She once sent a group of blood mages from the Ministry of all places to attack me, and while strong enough to take down many, they were of course not as strong as my own wards, and so they too were crushed like the rest. Eventually, she came to me herself, pretending she had nothing to do with the last attempts, and offered a bargain for the thing she wanted. As soon as she realized it was not for sale, she slowed me down within a second of time. She tried everything in her power to destroy me, and if given a few more hours, she might have been able to do so. Fortunately, by the help of a Kioseed friend of mine, Valerie Forbes, who showed up at the perfect moment, I was freed. I responded, of course, by plunging a stake into her heart, and took her away to be with my other trophies, those kindred I have bested and defeated. The point of this tale was not to gloat about my power, however. No, I do that enough as it is. The point was to show that were it not for luck, she could have bested me that day. The true Brujah's power is so unique and specific that the only real counter to it is to have a numbers advantage. And in all fairness, that's true for everything at the end of the night. These emotionless, timeless scholars of an age long gone are quite the specimens, I ought to say. Many would think their inclusion is not necessary for their countless years of inaction, and they would be wrong. For their goal is to go by unnoticed by the sense of change. For in truth, their powers, like all of ours, appreciate in time. This bloodline is something you must always consider, even though in most events and tidings, it will never be them. Like them, study and prepare for every outcome. Be ready and know everything about everyone. But unlike them, you should actually act on this information and use it in a practical setting. After all, that's probably their biggest sin, their lack of action. Thank you for listening to my tales. I'm the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. But, till next you meet, fellow traveller, have a good day.